Is there something about Narendra Modi that has caught the imagination of the country which political analysts and the opposition don't understand and therefore don't know how to counter or respond to? Has he, in other words, captured the zeitgeist of our time?
He must have done something very special for him to be here in power for last 11 years, for having won two elections, for being the major campaigner, for being the most popular leader.
Let me ask you the opposite of the question I asked about Narendra Modi. Is there something about Rahul Gandhi that puts the nation off, that makes it difficult for him to be accepted as the leader people want to vote to power? In other words, rather than attract people, is he, I don't want to use the word repelling them, but is he creating a distance between himself and them?
I don't think so. If you look at Rahul Gandhi interacting with ordinary people, he actually, there was a recent video about Gen Z and so on and so forth. He doesn't come across as person who's creating a distance. In fact, oddly, Rahul, the lower he goes down in the social hierarchy, his interactions are more intimate. His interactions are actually more endearing. The difficulty is not in his personality or in him as a person.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me. Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. After the National Democratic Alliance's unbelievable victory in Bihar and the Mahagathbandhan's shattering defeat, there are two questions that stare us in the face. Why do the Bharatiya Janata Party and Narendra Modi keep winning? Why do the Congress Party and Rahul Gandhi keep losing? Those are not easy questions to answer, but equally they are important to ask and attempt to understand. They are also the key issues I shall raise in today's interview. My guest is one of India's foremost political analysts and a former psephologist who is today the National Convenor of the Bharat Jodo Abhiyan, Yogendra Yadav. Yogendra Yadav, let me start with the question that I presume many people are asking this morning. Why do the BJP and Narendra Modi keep winning? After 11 and a half years in power, one would expect that the country would want a change, that anti-incumbency and tiredness with the same party would have set in. But instead, the BJP swept to a phenomenal victory, and hence my question, why do the BJP and Modi keep winning?
It's a good question, but let me begin by qualifying. I think there is a certain way in which the media manages to present things. This impression that Bihar was an unbelievable victory, that Mr. Modi keeps winning all the time, that the opposition keeps losing. There is an element of truth, and there is a real question to be answered there. But we do tend to overread it. Let's remember, yes, it is true that after 2024, which was a major setback for Mr. Modi, he managed to reverse it in Haryana and Maharashtra, which was very important, which was critical. But let's not forget Jharkhand. I would just mention what happened in Jammu and Kashmir. Even if you take the example of Bihar elections, to my mind, I would not place Bihar at the same level as Haryana and Maharashtra, because both in Haryana and Maharashtra, there was a flip, an unprecedented, unexpected flip. In the case of Bihar, it was not a flip. It's just repetition of the Lok Sabha election results. And it was not unprecedented or unexpected in that sense. Not unprecedented because in Bihar, once two of the major three parties come together, for the last 20 years, they've always won that election. Not unexpected because people who've been traveling on the ground had a sense. So I would not place Bihar at the same level as Maharashtra and Haryana.
Let me quote Amit Malviya, who has repeatedly said that since 2007, when he claims Rahul Gandhi began campaigning seriously for Congress, Congress has lost, he says, 95 elections. That's a huge number. It's almost a century.
He must have been counting very well. And I would not dispute his count because I don't keep the count of Congress's losses and so on. I'm sure he's keeping. There's no doubt that 2014 onwards, we are in a different system. The system is that of one party dominance, and the BJP is dominant. And yes, the BJP does manage two things which we need to think about. All I wanted to say was, let's not simply give in to the impression that BJP is scoring one unprecedented victory after another and everything is same. I mean, if you look at even the example of what happened 2 days ago, there were some by-elections. There was a Rajasthan by-election, which actually, where the ruling BJP lost a seat that it had. By-elections are considered important. By-elections where the ruling party loses a seat that it controls is considered significant. No one reports it. Congress wins in Hyderabad, in a place which it had not won earlier. That's not considered significant. I'm not saying all this washes away what happened in Bihar. All I'm saying is that we need to have a fuller picture.
Okay, let me pick up on a point you made earlier in your first answer. In June 2024, when he returned as Prime Minister for the third time, Narendra Modi was widely perceived to be a diminished Prime Minister. He was dependent on allies for the first time, and the BJP, it was thought, was running out of steam. But after the sweeping victories in Haryana, Maharashtra, Delhi, and now Bihar, would you accept that impression simply does not hold any longer? Modi seems as strong as he's ever been today.
That's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment because, especially in what happened in Haryana and Maharashtra, because the impression was, all right, Mr. Modi has suffered a major setback. And then in Maharashtra, which matters for more than one reason, BJP would lose. In Haryana, it was expected to lose anyway. And that was expected to set a national trend. It did not happen. Mr. Modi managed to reverse it. The BJP managed to put its entire election machinery in a way that prevented it. So yes, that impression has been considerably diluted. And today, you would not, I mean, in a sense, Mr. Modi is back to claiming the kind of popularity that he wanted to claim through 2024.
Let me ask you a critical question. Is there something about Narendra Modi that has caught the imagination of the country which political analysts and the opposition don't understand and therefore don't know how to counter or respond to? Has he, in other words, captured the zeitgeist of our time?
He must have done something very special for him to be here in power for last 11 years, for having won 2 elections, for being the major campaigner, for being the most popular leader. To my mind, it is not simply what you and I like to imagine. When I say you and I would say liberal progressive people. They like to imagine that the reason why he does so is because he's communal, because he stokes hatred, because he never misses an opportunity to get into minority baiting. All this is true. He does it regularly in a way that is shameful, in a way which is meant to stoke hatred. But there is more to his political arsenal, more to his political technique, more to his persona than just hatred. If you read his speeches or if you listen to his speeches, there is a sense of both connecting to the past of the country. The message to everyone is your country is glorious, your civilization is great, and there is a connection to the future. Things are getting better. You are making it better. We are all doing it together. Now, that's a message everyone wants to get. And that's something we must not forget about Mr. Modi, that he has a way of communicating and a message which has an element of positivity, a message which tickles your nationalist imagination, a message that offers you well-being in future. All these are very important things to understand and learn from.
And this, in a sense, is what makes him a special campaigner.
Indeed. So it's not merely hatred. People like us tend to notice the hatred part of it, but there is a lot more that's happening there.
And this is therefore some explanation for the hold he has over the country.
Some explanation, although I would not put what has happened in the last 1 year primarily to Mr. Modi. I think it's the BJP machinery that we should be speaking about. BJP has created an unprecedented kind of an election machine, which is much, much more than Mr. Modi's own charisma. Karan, you would recall, I mean, you are a little senior to me, but we are broadly of the same generation. When we used to appear for examination, what would we do? We had done our textbook carefully. We had attended classes. We would revise our notes and we would go for examination. That was the old style examination technique. How do children go for examination now for JEE or for medical entrance? Well, they register in an institute, quota, or somewhere else, which goes through them with every small thing. There's a 1.5 mark question. Let's practice it 150 times. There is a 10-mark section, so we'll devote 1 week to it and things of that kind. Now, my suggestion is that the way quota has transformed examinations in this country, similarly, BJP has transformed election in this country. The old style manner in which the opposition used to fight election simply does not work. BJP's capacity for macro and micro, legit and illegitimate, एक number का भी और दो number का भी, दोनों. Because if we just to draw on the quota example, you have these institutes which also find the most convenient examination center for its children. So it's a combination of both. This is the machine which provides us an explanation more than Mr. Modi's persona.
I take your point completely, but the credit goes once again to the BJP. They were the party that devised this way of fighting elections and making it so successful. Other political parties, even though they could emulate the BJP, have failed to do so.
Absolutely, there's no gainsaying that, Karan, and I would like everyone else to understand that. And they simply, the way your and my old style examination techniques simply cannot get you and I an admission in an IIT today. Similarly, old style ways of contesting elections simply do not work in the post-BJP era. And that has a legitimate part, which one must learn from, that also has an illegitimate part.
Let's flip the discussion at this point, Yogendra Yadav. Let me ask, in contrast, why does Congress keep losing? It believed it had a winning hand in Haryana, Maharashtra. It was pretty confident if you go by its rhetoric about Bihar, but it lost on all 3 occasions. What keeps going wrong for Congress?
Karan, I wouldn't take Bihar very seriously because Congress is a tertiary player. I mean, they are number 4 in Bihar.
By Congress, I meant the opposition as a whole as well.
Yeah. So opposition as a whole is a serious issue. That's something we really need to understand. One is the opposition's inability to come up with a counter narrative. Counter narrative cannot simply be critiquing Mr. Modi every morning. Counter narrative cannot be Mr. Modi has done this, which is bad. Mr. Modi has done this, which is fraudulent. BJP has done this, which is wrong. All this is right, but People don't want to hear just negative messages. You have to have a positive message. You have to have a plan. You have to offer a future. You have to offer a future which is credible. In opposition's speech and in Congress, you get glimpses of that, but you don't get a full picture. So you have a glimpse of Nyaya, something that Rahul Gandhi mentioned during the Bharat Jodo Abhiyan and Bharat Jodo Yatra and 2024 campaign. But does it translate into effective communication? No, it doesn't. In Bihar, Tejasvi Yadav talks about jobs. Does he make a credible promise of jobs, saying that I will get a government job for every single household of Bihar? Does not sound very credible. So there is lack of overall positive narrative that the opposition can offer. And I'm afraid the opposition has not been able to grasp two or three very critical things. One is nationalism. Nationalism continues to be the currency of politics. Second is pride in one's civilizational heritage. And third is connect with religions of this country. These are things BJP has managed. The opposition has not managed in a narrative sense. So now that's a narrative failure. Other than that is the organizational failure and inability to put together an election machine of the kind that can begin to take on the BJP.
To what extent is the opposition's inability to craft a narrative that resonates with the people of India a sign that they have actually begun to lose touch with those people? They're not on the same, if I can use that phrase, wavelength. There's a divide between what the opposition is offering and what the people are yearning for.
There is the distance. It is not to say that BJP does not suffer from a similar distance. BJP leadership is increasingly tired. BJP leadership is also somewhat distant. But in terms of their ability to craft a message, they have shown an ability which the opposition has simply not demonstrated. Let me quickly also add that I don't envy the opposition at this point in time in history, because these are not ordinary elections. This is not an ordinary phase in our national life. We are going through what is called in political science, technical literature, competitive authoritarianism. A regime which is otherwise authoritarian, but keeps an element of competitiveness open in order to demonstrate that it has public legitimacy. This is the condition in which the opposition has to function. Their leaders are being poached, all kinds of cases are being put against them. The media is hostile. They have no way of even thinking of competing with BJP on terms of money. So in these difficult situations, the opposition has to operate. Having said it, has the opposition done everything that it could have done even under the present circumstances? The answer is no. They could have done much more. And that's something where they need to really sit down and think.
And do they lack the people to do that thinking cogently, convincingly, coherently? Because that thinking isn't happening.
You see, when someone is losing, then all their weaknesses are out in the open. Karan, you and I are old enough to recall 2010-11. When BJP was not doing well. They had lost the national election. And every little problem of the BJP was out there in the open, being reported on the front pages and so on and so forth. So yes, the opposition may look weaker than it is. Do they have the persons? I think they have the persons. That is not the problem. When I meet opposition leaders, when I meet opposition workers, do they lack thinking? Do they lack brilliance? No, they don't. The thing they lack is ability to bring that together and ability to foreground. What the BJP has done is to institute a system in which anyone who has some smart ideas, who can contribute to BJP's victory, gradually finds his way up. That is not happening in opposition, especially in the Congress party.
Let me ask you the opposite of the question I asked about Narendra Modi. Is there something about Rahul Gandhi that puts the nation off, that makes it difficult for him to be accepted as a leader people want to vote to power? In other words, rather than attract people, is he, I don't want to use the word repelling them, but is he creating a distance between himself and them?
I don't think so. If you look at Rahul Gandhi interacting with ordinary people, he actually, there was a recent video about Gen Z and so on and so forth. He doesn't come across as person who's creating a distance. In fact, oddly, Rahul, the lower he goes down in the social hierarchy, his interactions are more intimate. His interactions are actually more endearing. The difficulty is not in his personality or in him as a person. The difficulties, to my mind, are of two or three kinds. Number one, there are flashes of vision, but there is no effective communication to back it up. Rahul Gandhi continues to be one of the few leaders in our country who are committed to constitutional values of secularism, of call it socialism or at least pro-egalitarianism, and social justice. But does that get communicated? No. So communication is one's major problem, especially when faced with a super communicator like Mr. Modi. The second difficulty that I see is that while there is some broad architecture of how things should be done, there is actually inability to focus on specifics of it. I'll give you one example. Rahul Gandhi is now trying to turn the entire Congress organization into more of an OBC party, a party of the backwards, which is how it should be, of disadvantaged sections of society. In Bihar, before the election, Congress appoints a Dalit, a Ravi Dasi, as the head of Congress in Bihar. Do the people of Bihar even know about it? No. I traveled in Bihar, asked people of his community, Ravi Dasi community, do you know that person from your community is the president of the Congress in Bihar? No, they had no idea. So the ability to translate that big vision into specifics of organization, ability to invest yourself in organizational details, and to create a system of reward and punishment. You do badly, you go out. You do well, you go up. This is what the BJP has done. I don't see that happening in the Congress party at all.
You identified some of the handicaps, if that's the right phrase, that Rahul Gandhi has. Let me ask you another question about him. No doubt people like Rahul Gandhi. He is a likable personality. But do they admire and respect him? If you choose someone to be your prime minister, you have to admire and respect them more than just like them. Do they admire and respect him, or is there a gravitas problem that comes in the way?
My real question would be, do they even know him? Or people in this country have a sense that they know Mr. Modi. I don't think they know him, but they have a sense that they know him. They know him through his presence. They know him through billboards. They know him through everything. My impression about Rahul Gandhi has been that anyone who has met him, or I'm speaking of ordinary people, ordinary activists, those who meet him go back extremely impressed. I mean, I've heard dozens of people say this to me. Oh my God, I didn't imagine he was that intelligent. He was that sharp. And very ordinary people are simply overwhelmed by a genuine affection he has. There's no distance, unlike Mr. Modi. So he's actually a very, in terms of personality, very, very different from Mr. Modi. Not in terms of respectability. My sense is that actually the Congress system, Congress communication, has not been able to get ordinary people to see, to have a glimpse of Rahul Gandhi. So the problem really is not that of respectability. I mean, that's a bit of thing in the Delhi circle. But in the interactions with ordinary people, that's not something I've seen.
Let me put it like this. 65% of India is under the age of 35, yet they seem to prefer a 75-year-old Narendra Modi over a 55-year-old Rahul Gandhi. Ordinarily, shouldn't it be the other way around?
Absolutely. So there's something very, very odd. There's something clearly wrong with the way the country has presented the opposition. And the Congress party has presented Rahul Gandhi. So there is something clearly odd. Something is amiss. There's no doubt about it. And whether that is a The only thing I'm trying to say is that it's not that the person suffers from some inherent disabilities which cannot be removed. The problem is with the communication part of it. The problem is with the overall political architecture, where he seems to be less invested than someone like him should be.
Is he badly or wrongly presented by his party to the country? Have they shaped their leader in the eyes of the country ineptly?
Um, well, in the last instance, you would not say there is the party which is different from Rahul Gandhi. After all, Rahul Gandhi takes all the major decisions. So if there are failures of the party, there must be his own failures as well, because you choose your advisors, you choose your teams. But broadly, the picture, I mean, what has always struck me is that the picture people have about him and the picture that they have about him after meeting him is so very, very strikingly different. And if there was a way the country could actually get to have have a glimpse of him as people who actually meet him do, there could be a radical transformation.
Before we end, let's look down the road to the likely consequences of the election defeats that Congress has suffered and the election victories that Modi has won. With the shattering defeat in Bihar raise disturbing questions about Congress? For instance, will potential allies now begin to see it as a possible liability? Will they question its ability to lead the India alliance? Will those question marks now hang over Congress's head?
And frankly, much of that will be decided in the next round, which is far more important in that sense, because the next round has two major opposition parties. The DMK and the TMC, which is taking on the BJP. There is a state which is more or less Congress versus BJP, that's Assam. And then you have a battle involving two elements of India coalition in Kerala. So the questions you raise will probably not be answered with any definitiveness after Bihar. But yes, these questions will be looked at. If Congress fails to perform in these two or three states where Congress does have stakes, especially in Kerala and Assam, then these questions will become important.
Let's then focus for a moment on Kerala and Assam. Will the demoralization that will inevitably set into Congress's ranks place it on the back foot, both in Kerala and Assam? And similarly, will the confidence that BJP has now got give it encouragement and a boost to its performance and prospects?
In India, as electoral patterns do not travel from one state to the other. The patterns of Jharkhand do not travel to Bihar. From Bihar, they are unlikely to travel to Bengal. But you rightly pointed out morale, a sense of positivity that BJP has acquired, which is, of course, boosted by the media. So would that help the BJP? Yes, it would help the BJP to begin with. In Bengal, which is where BJP is really aiming at doing something. But will that carry the BJP through? No. Bengal is going to be a real battle which will be fought from village to village. In Assam, Congress has a new hope. Congress has a hope because ever since Gaurav Gogoi was appointed the president, Congress is on the upswing and the BJP faces very tough weather. Will Congress be able to translate that? That's a real test. Kerala is a sui generis case. It's a very, very different case because basically it's the left versus the Congress. The question that people might look at is whether BJP manages to increase its vote share substantially and manage to enter the assembly.
As you correctly point out, in both Kerala and Assam, Congress is the main opposition party, and it should be poised to win because the incumbent government has already been in power for 10 years. But if it fails to win either or both Kerala and Assam, what will the future of Congress look like at that point?
I mean, if it doesn't, Assam is interesting because in Assam, Congress has a real chance of flipping, unlike Bihar. Bihar, I never thought there was a serious chance of flipping. But in Assam, there is a chance of flipping. So that's something everyone would look at. And in Kerala, Congress has already missed a chance once, which is very, very unusual for Kerala. And if they miss the chance for the second time, of course, it will be very major setback and would reduce Congress's stature in national politics. The fact is that Congress remains the only party with multi-state footprint. That doesn't go away. But the kind of centrality that the Congress acquired after 2024 national election, and if you saw the parliamentary sessions after 2024 parliamentary election, where Rahul Gandhi emerged as the natural leader of the opposition, not just the former leader of opposition, but actually someone who was naturally leading the opposition, that would definitely diminish. There's no doubt.
Let me put it like this. In Britain, the Liberal Party was one of the two ruling parties in the 19th and early 20th century. But after the collapse of the Lloyd George government in 1922, the Liberals were reduced to a rump and never recovered. Is that the fate that awaits Congress? It was reduced to a rump in 2014. It remained a rump in 2019. It's slightly better off in 2024, there's no doubt about it, but it didn't even then reach triple digits. It's stuck at 99 and has failed to win assembly elections since then. So is it likely to face the same fate as the Liberal Party in Britain?
I wouldn't say so. Because there is simply no other multi-state opposition party available to take on the BJP. The scenario that you described, which is of course a few months away, if that happens, then of course it's one more major setback, not just for Congress. It's a setback for the entire opposition because there is no other party with multi-state footprint. At the same time, we should consider another possibility, Karan. In the first 5 or 7 years, the first 10 years of Mr. Modi's government, we saw him losing a series of state assembly elections, but winning the national elections. Could it be the other way around this time? That BJP wins state assembly elections, but does not do very well in the parliamentary election, which happened in 2024. So, I would just keep all these options open, possibilities open, and not come to any definitive conclusion at this stage.
Let me ask you the reverse of the question I asked about Congress a moment ago. Congress governments have ruled India from 1947 till 1977 without a break. That was 30 years of unbroken Congress rule. Are we now in the middle of something similar, but with the BJP in the saddle this time? We've had 11 years of BJP rule in the center. Could it continue for another 10 or 15?
In politics, how can you rule out anything? Especially the critical difference between those years of Congress dominance and these years of BJP dominance is this. On the positive side, Congress had the national movement. It was the initial years of Indian Republic, and people were willing to give a long rope to someone. That may not be available to BJP or any party for that matter now. But the other critical difference, which makes up for BJP's handicap here, is that in those days, the country, except for that interlude of 1975 to 77, it was a democratic country. The elections were free and fair. Broadly, the incumbent had an advantage, but the advantage was not that of controlling the election commission. The advantage was not that of media and money and muscle power being used in one way. So at the moment, there is that element. I would again underline something that I said earlier. We are not living in ordinary times. These are not just a series of elections in normal democracy. This is authoritarian interlude in Indian politics, where authoritarianism has been normalized. And therefore, the real question is whether BJP can continue to legitimize an authoritarian regime with a certain popular endorsement, which is what all authoritarian rulers need in the 21st century. That's a question. I wouldn't say another 10, 15, 20 years. To my mind, 29 would be a very, very difficult battle for BJP, but that's already a few years ahead.
There's another similarity with the 30 unbroken years of Congress rule from 1947 till 1977. During that period, the opposition really didn't count, it didn't matter, it wasn't there in sizable numbers. Congress dominated the political horizon. Are we beginning to see the opposite with the BJP dominating the political horizon now? I know there are some Congress ruled states, there are some states ruled by the CPM and by the TMC or the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, but the BJP is the dominant party in a way that is reminiscent of Congress being the dominant party from 47 to 77. Is there another flip that's taking place?
In some ways, it already has. There's the years of Congress dominance were called one-party dominant system. This is how India was described by political scientists in the 1950s and 60s. Are we looking at another one-party dominant system? Yes, of course, we are looking at that. The difference is this, that in the 50s and 60s, the one-party dominant system was in an era where people had not experienced that, that Congress could possibly be defeated in the election. This was beyond imagination till 1969. That is no longer the case. People have tasted power. People know that they can remove this. And if the opposition were to get its act together, if the opposition were to flip a couple of elections in the coming 6 months or so, even that would make both of us speak a very different language than the one that we are speaking today.
So everything depends upon the opposition beginning to show it can win.
That's right. So opposition faces a very tough task, but is it doing the best that it can do even under these difficult circumstances? No, it's not. Could the RJD have done much better in Bihar? Yes, it could have done much better in Bihar. They knew what the real problems were. And for years, they have failed to address the basic constraints of their politics, namely being limited to Muslims and Yadavs and the impression of a jungle Raj. These are two things that they needed to address in a big way. They have not done so. You could say similar things about many other opposition parties. You could say this about Samajwadi Party, which faces a big test in 2027. So the opposition faces a tough task, but can do much better. More coherent narrative and putting together an election machine which has to be able to take on the BJP's election machine. There's no way you can bypass the requirement of an election machine now.
In my last question, what you're suggesting is that the power to change the way things are happening lies in the hands of the opposition, if only they exercise that power and do what's necessary to exercise it.
Yes, to some extent that power lies with them. I would again underline and finish by reminding ourselves that we do not live in normal democratic times. So while there is a power that lies with the opposition, the power to arrest them, the power to freeze their bank accounts, the power to get them maligned, the power to do all kinds of things still rests with the government. And that continues to compromise the democratic elections and competitiveness that we witness today.
Yogendra Yadav, I thank you very much for spending time with us, for sharing your analysis and understanding of the way Indian politics is working out, of the supremacy of Modi, the weakness of the opposition, for sharing with us your attitude to thinking of Narendra Modi as well as Rahul Gandhi. I'm deeply grateful. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.